Sure, what's your question?
Yeah. On zone 1, for example,
Yeah.
if you have like a small zone like with vegetable and so on, is it a good idea to put like fruit trees also? If you have like a small place, let's say.
Okay. So
You know, like
you've got this thing called succession, right? So a small fruit tree is absolutely a small fruit tree when you first plant it. And it's probably going to take several years before it gets big enough that actually it requires that space is only given to that tree. My point being that you've got maybe several years to plant in the space where eventually that tree will dominate. Okay, before it becomes a mature tree, the space is available because the light's available. So yeah, you can definitely use the space of what eventually will be not available because the tree will dominate. But in the meantime, make use of that space. You can, certain plants will happily grow in the shadow of others, as we said, so they can be useful for that. And trees can be deliberately and should be deliberately included into a system which is tropical, where we use them for shadow. So food forests in Morocco that are thousands of years old are actually using date palm as a cover, right? So the sun is so strong during the mid part of the day that any little plants, they get fried. So they've got like an umbrella, they're okay, right? But that umbrella doesn't have any vegetation here, so the sun can come in from each end of the day. So the plants get like this nice sun here, this nice sun over here, and the hard sun is shadowed out. So you can definitely use trees in the tropics and subtropics to help protect some of the smaller plants.
And then when you would use that tree in a more northern climates, then it will be dangerous if it gets too much shadow, right? Or
danger as in you just wouldn't get anything growing,
yeah.
Right? If there's too much shadow, you're always designing for what is appropriate to your site. There is not one site that's the same as another. This bit here is not the same as just over there, right? So you've absolutely got to look at what is appropriate to wherever you are. Microclimates, you can create microclimates as well, right? It's all flat. Well, okay, so if you put a wall in, suddenly you've created a south facing and a north facing. And different things will grow there. You create a raised bed, you've just created a different humidity. It's going to be drier at the top, wetter at the bottom. You can do a lot for adjusting the conditions. So you can play with things to create different conditions. So you can put a tree in there to deliberately create a wind barrier or a wind funnel. Say, I want to increase that cooling afternoon breeze because I'm in a really hot place, so I'm going to plant trees that funnel it into my house. No, I'm in a really cold place, so I'm going to plant trees that try to block or lift the wind over my house. So you can definitely use elements like that. Okay. Other questions?
Will you put a nursery in zone 1?
I would say yes. Yeah, I mean, nursery is by definition like looking after a baby, right? So, do you put your baby far away or do you keep it close to you so you've got an eye on it? Because that's when it's most fragile. So yeah, absolutely having a nursery in zone 1 would be appropriate.
So that's the nursery, right? Where the plants
That's a nursery, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not our tree nursery, which is just down there.
Yeah.
But, and the tree nursery is more in a zone 2 because, they don't need like so much attention, as long as I know that they're not drying out in the middle of the summer. But the vegetable nursery is pretty much every day. You gotta make sure that it's not drying out. Because when a plant is that big, you know, missing one day and it's dead pretty much.
Will you tell something about the nursery later, or is it something
Not particularly.
not particular? Like, how does it work in general, the nursery? If you, where do you get, you start with the seed in the nursery, yeah.
Like, that depends. Yeah, I mean, often you start with seed, but it could be cuttings as well. Yeah, you could buy or be given some plant material which you can then, you know, with a little bit of care and attention, a bit of luck sometimes, then you know you can make it into a mature plant. But often it's with seeds, but not always. But yeah, I mean, the thing with permaculture is not gardening. Okay, gardening is an element of permaculture, but permaculture is about design. So, you know, sometimes people might want to teach you about gardening, but actually it wouldn't be a permaculture course. But gardening definitely is a part of it, but you know, it would be more like a master gardening course. So we're just thinking, you know, from permaculture, we're thinking about you know, bigger system thinking and how to, you know, put things together, not necessarily the individual skills and techniques needed to get a nursery started. That would be a different course.